Welcome back to the Complete Dalek Timeline, a series that chronicles the Daleks' timeline from their perspective and not the release order of the show. This series will also include events as depicted in expanded media such as novels, comic books and audio dramas. If you haven't already, I strongly recommend going back and watching part 1 of this series, as it covered a lot of ground essential in understanding what comes next. On Skaro, a rogue Dalek develops a case of humanity, leading to an appreciation for natural beauty and an uprising against the Emperor's law of destruction. The Emperor, appalled by this human-like behaviour, has the Dalek destroyed and orders that all humanity will be exterminated. A spaceship then lands on Skaro with a group of androids aboard. The Emperor orders them to not be destroyed, however, as he discovers their ship comes from another part of the universe previously hidden to them. These androids are then revealed to actually be humans, and they discover the Emperor's plans to purge all of humanity. 3 of them manage to escape using a Dalek ship, returning to Earth to warn of the Daleks' upcoming conquest. This retreat has dire consequences though, as the Daleks follow the humans throughout the universe, discovering the location of Earth. On the way to Earth, the Daleks make sure to wipe out any human colonies they find across the universe, preparing for their invasion. The 7th Doctor, aware that the Daleks are about to invade Earth, delivers a packeted powder to someone called Piper and tells them to deliver it to the Earth. Eventually, the Daleks reach the solar system and invade human colonies on the planet Mars, leading to a brief skirmish with the Ice Warriors. The Daleks are then deterred from the planet, but still continue onto Earth. The Daleks, learning from their own weaknesses and defeats, bombard the Earth with deadly diseases, causing a majority of the population to either die or be seriously debilitated by the illness. However, the powder that the 7th Doctor released allowed some humans to survive the plague and form a rebellion later on down the line. The 6th Doctor and Perry then find themselves landed in the middle of the Dalek occupation of Earth. The Daleks attempt to release a Vaga plant virus across the Earth, but this plan is put to an end by the 6th Doctor, who erases all record of his involvement and quickly flees the scene, knowing a previous incarnation of himself will wipe out the Dalek occupation of Earth. The 1st Doctor and companions Ian, Barbara and Susan land in London, 10 years after the Daleks had first landed and invaded the planet. The Doctor discovers that the Daleks have enslaved most of the remaining population, either by converting them into mindless robo-men or forcing them to work in various mineshafts across the planet. It is revealed that the Daleks, led by a Black Dalek, not the Black Dalek, wish to turn Earth into a huge battle station by converting the Earth's crust into a repulsion system. However, the Doctor uses the Daleks' own weapons against them. Firstly, by impersonating a Dalek, he orders the Robo-Men to turn against the Daleks with no chance of countermanding the order. Ian also manages to divert a bomb meant to destroy the Earth's crust and uses it to destroy the main Dalek saucer. This massive destruction, as well as the global revolt from Robo-Men and workers alike, wipes out the Daleks on Earth completely. The Doctor, Ian and Barbara all leave the Earth in the safe hands of Susan to help rebuild with her new partner, David. Except, of course, one Dalek survived the revolt. As the Daleks were defeated, Marcus Bray, a Dalek collaborator and governor of Zone 5, returned to his home where he was holding a Dalek in his basement. Due to the Dalek control signal being destroyed, the Dalek lost a majority of its power, including its ability to use its gun stick. Marcus used this to his advantage, opening up the Dalek casing and threatening it with a flamethrower. Meanwhile, Susan and David began rebuilding the Earth, prioritising the growth of crops to refeed the population, with Susan using her advanced Time Lord knowledge to speed up the process. Marcus Bray then travels to London, carrying some precious cargo hidden under tarpaulin. He transfers his precious cargo, which is in fact the Dalek, into an empty warehouse. The Dalek then, very weak, informs Marcus that a secret Dalek ship still remains in the local sector. Marcus instructs the Dalek to lie for him, and he will release it back to its ship. The next day, a meeting is held at the Houses of Parliament, and Marcus Bray arrives with his secret cargo, saying that he should be placed in a position of power due to his previous ruling experience as a governor. David rejects this, saying that Susan should be put in a position of power due to her liberating the planet from the Daleks. The Dalek hears this and, angered, announces its presence. Marcus then conjures up the story that it was in fact him who liberated everyone from the Daleks, and he brought this Dalek as proof. The Dalek then lies for Marcus, confirming his story. As a reward, Marcus incinerates the Dalek with his flamethrower, leaving no more Daleks on Earth, as confirmed by Robo-Men worldwide. The crowd then cheer on for Marcus. This leads to a political rivalry between Marcus and Susan is soon outed as a time-travelling alien by Marcus, digging back through old Earth records. Marcus uses this and initiates a fear-mongering tactic, claiming Susan may be an alien scout ahead of another invasion. It isn't long before Susan outs Marcus as a previous Dalek collaborator though, turning the crowd against Marcus completely. In a last effort to save himself, he uses a Dalek computer hidden underground and attempts to communicate with the Dalek ship previously mentioned by his imprisoned Dalek, inviting them to re-invade the Earth. Fortunately though, the signal is blocked and Susan destroys the Dalek computer, defeating Marcus. Much like with Destination Skaro, Legacy of the Daleks potentially belongs to a branch timeline, but I have attempted to fit it into the complete canon, as you'll see later. This account sees the Delgado Master come into contact with the 8th Doctor 30 years after the Dalek invasion of Earth, where the Doctor is summoned by a psychic cry for help from Susan. We find out that the operation to rebuild the Earth has gone horrifically wrong, and the population, the little that there is, have basically turned against each other, selling Dalek weapons and engaging in political infighting. The Master then aids in the manufacturing of a new line of Daleks thanks to a factory located within an abandoned Dalek artifact. One account says that this is the factory that crashes on Vulcan in Power of the Daleks, but for this timeline I'm disputing that. The Daleks then capture Susan and hold her for questioning. Meanwhile, the Master discovers the Daleks have created a matter transmuter, capable of converting any element into any other element, and plans to use it as a weapon for his own personal gain. The Doctor manages to alert the population of the return of the Daleks and a battle breaks out. The Doctor then manages to create an overload within the Dalek factory, bringing an end to their production line and blowing up the artifact. The Master then kills Susan's partner David in an attempt to kill the Doctor and flees with Susan as his hostage in his own TARDIS. Susan manages to get the upper hand on the Master though and activates the matter transmuter upon reaching the planet Tercerus, killing the Master and severely disfiguring him. Susan then flees in the Master's TARDIS. The Doctor discovers Susan's survival and escape and leaves her to her freedom. Now, this section of the timeline is a little tricky to figure out, but I'm going to do my best to compile these stories into a narrative that makes sense. Back on Skaro, the Emperor learns of the Daleks' defeat on Earth by the hands of the Doctor yet again, and decides that in order to acquire universal domination, the Doctor must be stopped. So, the Daleks, after decades of studying time travel in secret, create a dimensionally transcendental time machine and chase the first Doctor's TARDIS throughout time and space shortly after their departure from Earth. Also, following the death of the Black Dalek on Earth, also known as the Supreme Commander, a Gold Supreme Commander is appointed by the Emperor. The Daleks, led by the Black Dalek, then pursue the Doctor and company throughout the Time Vortex, landing in various different places and time zones along the way. During this chase, the Daleks construct a robotic replica of the Doctor and use it to try and assassinate the Doctor's companions Ian and Barbara upon landing on the jungle planet of Mechanus. This plan fails, however, due to the party being taken hostage by the mechanoids, who the Daleks have encountered previously, already on the verge of war. The Daleks' hostility towards the mechanoids for harbouring the Doctor and company results in an all-out war between Daleks and mechanoids, resulting in their mutual destruction and the beginning of a long-lasting conflict. Of course, this battle allows the Doctor to escape, the Daleks yet again defeated in their attempts to kill him. The Black Supreme manages to escape, however, to be seen again another day. The Gold Supreme Commander Dalek then leads a group of Daleks to 26th century Earth, where they attempt another invasion under the name Operation Divide and Conquer, appointed by the Emperor. This sees the Daleks infiltrate the human and draconian negotiations and attempt to turn the two races against each other with the assistance of the Delgado Master earlier in his timeline. The plan would see that once humans and draconians engage in war, the Daleks would intercept with an army they have been keeping hidden on the planet Spiridon. Of course, the Third Doctor defeated the Daleks on Earth and the Master. The Third Doctor then followed the Daleks' trails to the planet Spiridon. Another Supreme had also been appointed on this planet as the Supreme Overseer of Army Operations. Before the Daleks could launch any sort of attack on humans or draconians though, the Third Doctor, accompanied by a task force of very much not pacifist Thals, froze the Dalek army with liquid ice. The Thals then steal the Supreme Dalek's ship, fleeing elsewhere in the universe, and the Doctor leaves in the TARDIS, resulting in a deserted Supreme vowing that the Daleks will, one day, thaw their army. Following this story, the Master did not go back to 22nd century Earth, but instead ran into the 12th Doctor immediately after Frontier in Space. This encounter caused him to regenerate, leading into the Deadly Assassin and course-correcting the timeline, making sure the events of Legacy of the Daleks never happened. Instead, a new timeline is spawned where Susan had a son named Alex, and she runs into the 8th Doctor far more directly this time. The 8th Doctor comes into contact with Susan and Alex and becomes a much more prominent part of their lives. He even leaves his companion Lucy Miller in their care. It was then that a Dalek from the future had fell back in time. Once retrieved by Daleks currently residing in the late 22nd century, this Dalek was revealed to be a very badly damaged Time Controller, who gave this group of Daleks information regarding the Time Lords. This led to the Daleks, with their newfound knowledge, crossing paths with the meddling monk, who they instructed to repair the Time Controller due to his temporal knowledge, and aid them in their second invasion of Earth. Much like their previous invasion attempt, the plan was to bombard the Earth with deadly viruses, weakening the population and allowing the Daleks to easily infiltrate the planet. The monk then planned to install a time warp engine into the Earth's crust, transforming it into a battle station capable of travelling throughout space and time. The Earth would then harbour millions of deadly diseases, spreading them throughout time and space and easily taking out planets that would eventually prove as threats to the Daleks, thanks to the Time Controller's future knowledge. The 8th Doctor, Susan, Alex and Lucy all fought hard to stop this cunning plan, resulting in Alex, the Doctor's own great-grandson, being exterminated. In one big moment of despair, Lucy Miller committed an incredibly brave act of self-sacrifice, crashing a Dalek saucer into the Dalek mines and, with a huge explosion, taking out the Dalek Time Controller as well as its small army of Daleks. However, the Daleks still could not accept their defeat at the hands of humanity. So the Gold Supreme attempted again to invade the Earth with the aid of a species known as Ogrons, used as slaves. Their plan consists of planting a time machine inside Orderly House in the 20th century, during a fragile moment in human history, the brink of World War III. The Daleks intercept a peace conference, resulting in a world ravaged by war. The Daleks enslave what is left of humanity, and by the 22nd century only a few rebels remain. The Daleks are the masters of Earth. That is, until the Third Doctor goes back in time to evacuate the peace conference in the 20th century, while rebels plant a Dalekanian bomb within Orderly House and lure the Daleks to their death. This allows the Doctor to course correct history, ensuring that World War III never happens, and neither does the Dalek victory over Earth. Following the events of Planet of the Daleks, the human race in the 26th century, now far more prepared for conflict than they were in the 22nd, engage in a war with the Daleks. During this war, convicted murderer and pillager Absalom Dark was given a choice of punishment between vaporization or exile as a Dalek killer. Of course, he chose to be a Dalek killer and vowed to kill every single Dalek in the universe using only his signature weapon, a chainsword. He travelled throughout the universe and racked up quite an impressive amount of Dalek kills during the conflict, with the Daleks even regarding him as a predator of the Daleks. The Supreme Overseer of Army Operations, left alone on Spiridon, spends years revitalising his casing, eventually resembling that of a Time War Supreme model. He also manages to thaw a small portion of the Dalek army, then going on to invade the Cathedral of Contemplation. Unfortunately for the Daleks, both the 10th and 4th Doctors are currently within the Cathedral, and, using the Daleks' obsession with Earth against them, lure the Daleks through a time portal to the destruction of Earth in the year 5.5/Apple/26. In a massive explosion, the Cathedral then collapses in on the Supreme Dalek, killing it in the process. Back to the 26th century, during the human war with the Daleks, a batch of Daleks adopted the updated armour as used by the Supreme in Out of Time and attempt to gain the upper hand. However, the 10th Doctor intervenes in the war and brings the battle to a close, purging the updated Daleks and resolving the Dalek-human conflict. For now. The Dalek Emperor, now tired of continual defeat from the human race, surrender and enter into a peace treaty with humanity, vowing to remain on their homeworld of Skaro for the indefinite future. This brings an end to the next chapter in the Daleks timeline, but it is certainly not the end. Make sure to subscribe and turn notifications on so you don't miss part 3 and what happens after the Daleks' first major defeat.